It's all going on. Dogs are howling, cockerels are crowing, and we're out on our next tour to the border with Myanmar. We got to head south out of Chiang Mai, but first I got to hit a cash machine and get some money for the journey. And good thing about Thai cash machines, you can do it without a card. Very clever. So this is my bank, Krung Sri, the yellow bank as it's known for obvious reasons. And then, I don't know if you can read that, cardless ATM. Very clever. I just get a code sent to my phone, put that in, and it lets me take cash out. A lot easier, I don't have to carry a card for travelling. Along the moat that surrounds the old city of Chiang Mai in a square. We're going to go round the moat and then head south past the airport and out of town. And out the south wall, we're going to just do a slightly naughty manoeuvre. Bit of the old ancient wall that surrounded Chiang Mai. And then we can get south onto Mahidol Road and start heading out of town. Very quickly we're off the main road onto the smaller, quieter lanes, and we're cutting across now to the river, to the Ping River, and then we're basically going to follow the Ping south for quite some distance. And over the Ping River. Receded somewhat since the flooding we had a few weeks ago. Worst floods in recorded history, so going back at least 50 years. They're still cleaning up. Around here looks a lot better, but in town, Chiang Klan area, still very bad. Inundated with mud, you know. I think the river was meters high where it flooded. And a lot of people think, well, the old town didn't flood and the area I live didn't flood, and I've heard people say, well, that was lucky. But of course it's not lucky, because they knew what they were doing when they founded Chiang Mai, I think end of the 13th century, as the base, the major city of the Lan Na kingdom. They moved it from Chiang Rai, which is further north, also on the Ping River, and it flooded badly, so they learned their lesson. They moved downstream, but they built the old city slightly raised up, and to this day it has never flooded. Sukhonatitam Church. Not many churches here. Thailand is, of course, predominantly Buddhist country. I think I looked in Wikipedia once, I think it put it at 97% Buddhist. But there are a few churches and there are Muslims. It's a Muslim community in the south, an area which I may head to before too long. It's a little bit busy out. I did plan to leave a bit earlier, but first day of a tour there's always a bit of faffing, packing, clearing up, and in a few minutes we'll get away from this busyness as we head further south down the Ping. Alright Kieran, enough preamble. What's the plan? What are we doing? What's the tour? What's the tour called? That's a good question. I'm not entirely sure what I'm calling it. Maybe along the Myanmar border, because that is our main objective. Although that will only be a small part of the tour, because we've got to get to the Myanmar border. And the Myanmar border is, I think, almost 500 kilometers away. I mean, if we went directly west, we'd hit it sooner, but we want to hit a stretch southwest of Chiang Mai. So today, day one, we are heading 150 kilometers south, maybe 160 kilometers, that's 100 miles in old money. Left at the 7-Eleven, one of many 7-Elevens. It was very soft. And we're heading today towards a town called Li. Yeah, it's just spelled L-I, and you might assume, as I did, that you can just say Li, I'm going to Li. But as I found out, that ain't the case. If you don't use your tones in Thai, they ain't going to understand you. My landlady, cow's going for a walk. My landlady asked me where I was going, and when I said Li, she just went, huh? It was only when I pointed it on a map, she went, oh, Li. So, as I say, 150, 160k south to Li. Mostly flat for the first half, and then some climbing through the mountains. I think only up to about 800 meters or so, and then we'll drop down into Li and find a place for the night. And then tomorrow on to another town that may seem that it's easy to pronounce, Tak, which of course we all call Tak, is the K silent in Thai, so it's Ta. And that's about another 150k. And then next day to the border, Mae Sot, and that is the border with Myanmar, and on the other side it's called Irrawaddy. And oh, how I would love to cross over to Myanmar and explore, but not possible, closed to foreigners. Only Thais and Myanmar nationals can cross there, and there's a fierce war raging, civil war raging in Myanmar. It's not the time to go, but a real shame. I would love to visit. Conditions: blue skies, as you can see, not a cloud in the sky. Rainy season seems to have come to an end. We've left the river behind for a bit, and we're on the Lamphun bypass road, so we're going past Lamphun, we won't go in. Lamphun's a nice little town, sort of 30-35k southeast of Chiang Mai. It's like a little mini Chiang Mai. It's got a little moat and an old city wall, a couple of nice coffee shops, so it's good for a sort of Sunday easy ride, completely flat there and back down the river. But yeah, we're on this road, which when they constructed it a few years ago, they completed it and didn't open it for a long time, so it was great for cycling. Now it's open, but it's not a huge amount of traffic. There's a generous bike lane, and we'll be on it for, I think, 10-15k, and then we'll get off it and get into some much quieter roads again. Turning off this main road, we did this the other day, and I know there's a little shop just here, so a couple of hours in, time for a little break, I think. Sawadee ka. So I brought some little rice cooked with sweet potato and or banana, cooked in a banana leaf over the fire, so very cheap from the market. So yeah, just sticky rice cooked with a little filling, nice. Carbohydrate, bit of natural sugar, perfect, keep me going for another hour or so. Up and over a little river, into the hills now, the southern hills as we call them. I'm sure they got a proper name. A little bit hazy out today, which is a shame. We were here 2 days ago and it was super clear in the hills, so you never quite know what you're going to get. But it's definitely clear out, it's starting to warm up a bit now, about 30 degrees, it's 9:30 in the morning. Only going to get hotter. Now we're out of Chiang Mai. Look how good the road surfaces are. Five-star. Not only perfect roads, but not a soul out here. Haven't seen a car for ages. Haven't seen anyone. I just love touring. And I love touring by myself as well. I can be a bit of a loner. I mean, you know, I lead a pretty sociable life in Chiang Mai, and then it's nice to get away, just do my own thing. I mean, I have done some touring with other people, and I may do some more touring with other people, but I find it just gets very complicated very quickly. I think a lot of people don't realise with touring there are many micro decisions to be made every day, and it's so much easier just to do it by yourself. I mean, I've seen it happen. I've sort of planned a tour, tell people I'm going away, and then someone say, oh, I'll come, and then they tell someone else, and then someone else will come, and then someone else, and then before you know it won't take long, but someone will say, oh look, there's a few of us, why don't we hire a driver in a van to drive around with us with all our gear? And at that point, I'm out. Now, I don't care how people want to go cycling and touring, you know, getting a car and a van, taking buses, going in a group. But for me, having a car, drive around with all my gear in, carrying drinks and bananas and snacks, being able to get in the car if there's a problem, for me, that's basically the antithesis of touring. Really not my thing at all. I like to be self-sufficient, carry my own gear, deal with any problems that arise, and then, you know, just turn up, decide where I'm going to stay for the night when I get there. I haven't booked anything ahead on this trip. We'll just play it by ear. Don't think there's going to be too many tourists in Lee. As we get to this T-junction, it reminds me of that bit in The Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring, when Sam and Frodo are leaving the Shire and Sam just stops suddenly and Frodo says, "Is there something the matter, Sam?" And Sam says, "This is the furthest I've ever been in my life, Mr. Frodo." And then just carries on walking. And as we turn left there, this is the furthest I've been in Lamphun province. Before, when we did it a few days ago, we went the other way. So this is new territory, and I love going into new territory. You don't know what you're going to get. As an aside, I particularly love the Fellowship of the Ring, the first book of the Lord of the Rings, because it's all about that sense of adventure. They set out on this massive adventure. Well, they don't realise quite how massive it's going to be. I mean, I like the other books, but that first book is just superb. Sweet old lady. Very nice little snack. Sweet, salty, greasy fried bananas and sweet potato. Perfect. So a good bit of energy, bit of salt, bit of sugar. Had my drink. Bought another bottle of water. We got a bit of a climb coming. There was a flat way to Lee, but I avoided it. I thought it'd be quite boring, and this way looks far more interesting. It's been a bit up and down for a while, rolling, but now into the only really serious climb of the day, and it's only a few K long, but quite steep in places, up to about 14% here, and it's past 11 in the morning now, and it's a good 32 degrees out, so quite toasty, but we'll be at the top soon, 800 meters up, and then we can start a long descent all the way down to Lee. Well, that's the top. No views. Too many trees around, really. There we go, all the way down there. But the good news is, because of the trees, there's a bit of shade in places, so it's not been super hot. We're right, yeah, we are up to 777, highest point of the day. Now down, a couple of little bumps, and then we've got 55k into Lee. Little rubber plantation. See how they score the tree and then put a little spike in, and then have, oh look, this one's full of, there we go. Ooh. And then that latex ferments, and it's a very unpleasant smell. I've seen loads of it in Laos, really quite horrible, but here doesn't seem to smell. 10k to go to Lee. It's like 1 o'clock now. It's hot out, but it's not crazy hot. It's probably like 32, 33. It's quite doable. Certainly not as hot as it was a couple of days ago, so absolutely fine. A little bit hungry. I've been eating my rice snacks, and I had a good bowl of porridge with banana for breakfast. Been going now for 6 hours, but I feel good. We'll be there in 30 minutes or so, and we can get some decent lunch when we get there. I'll be fine. Find a place to stay. Check out Lee. It's been a great ride. You know, maybe not the most beautiful ride I've ever done, but I still love just riding through the Thai countryside, little villages and towns. It's always fascinating. Anyway, we'll see what Lee has to offer, find a cheap place to stay, and then it's time for lunch. Well, I had to ride around a bit to find the only hotel in town, and here it is. Like a little motel you could drive in. I'm cycling in. 450 baht, so pretty much £10 standard for a cheap place. Right, okay, well, let's see what we find. Pretty standard fare. Bed, how hard? Quite hard. AC, TV, fridge, cupboard, little bathroom. Oh, quite a big bathroom. That's not bad. Tenner, that'll do me. And we're off the main road. Lee is a funny little town. It's kind of just based along both sides of a huge road, but that's fine. It's got everything I need. I saw restaurants, I saw a market, I saw 7-Eleven, so everything. So I'll relax a little bit, check out my surroundings, and then go and get some food. Classic Thai fare, sort of one pot cooking where they, you know, there's about 30 different things on the menu, and they just, from a combination of ingredients, they can make 30 different dishes, all very good, all very cheap. This is sort of sweet chicken with rice, probably 40, 50 baht by a pound. So I'm going to get this down me, then I'm going to go and rest, and then I'll come back for dinner probably. Day 2 out of the hotel. It's a major of 60. And on to Ta, aka Tak. As you can see, it's a bit of a misty start. We are up at 457 meters altitude. It's slightly chilly. It's about, Wadi Cup, about 22 degrees. It's the Wadi Cup. Good morning. We've got a similar ride to yesterday. I think probably about 140, 150 kilometers. Slightly less climbing, so slightly easier day. It's not a bad thing to start a tour, a couple of easier days. Nice traditional Thai wooden houses, traditional Thai dogs parking. Through a bit of old wall. There's trees, some sort of bean tree, and we're straight into the nature, a bit jungly, river flowing. One might assume that this was rice, but it's not. It's way too tall for rice. Although the ears, seeds on the end look similar, but I'm guessing it's some sort of weed. But I don't know about that one. But it's kind of atmospheric through the mist. I can see the sun trying to get through, so well, it's 7:30 now. I'd say in an hour or so the sun will be out and we'll be into full sunshine. We were given free breakfast at the hotel, which was a good deal. Not the omelette and toast type of free breakfast. that you might be imagining, but your sort of Asian free breakfast. So rice, some sort of stir fry, and some sort of pork salad, which didn't look all that appealing and was of a questionable temperature. It was neither hot enough to have been freshly cooked nor cold enough to have just come out of the fridge, so I avoided that one. 2 cups of instant coffee, fill my water bottles. Perfect. Well, that was a lovely little side road to start the day with. It wasn't even on my route. I just saw it on the map this morning and thought that looks interesting. And so it was. Now we're onto a much bigger road. Yeah, a little bit of traffic, but not too bad. And we're on this for the next 41k, so better just settle in. A couple of trucks around, people going to work, but nothing major. So fairly easy day today. It'll still be 6 or 7 hours in the saddle though. Tomorrow actually shorter but with more climbing, and then we'll get into some harder days. The sort of roadie in me thinks, oh, maybe we should make today a bit longer and do a bit of extra climbing. Roadies are always a little bit masochistic, trying to make things harder than they need to be. But here's a good rule for touring: take the easy days when they come. Here's trouble. Oh, poor one's limping. Sorry, doggies, excuse me. Chasers? It's sort of chase. 130 odd k to Ta and 32k to Thun, which is a town, city down on the plain. So we're up to nearly 600 meters now. We're going to do a little bit more climbing, and then we're going to drop all the way down to Thun, where we'll be 50k in, a couple of hours in, so definitely a place for a rest and a cold drink, and then we stay on the flat pretty much for the rest of the day. As I said, fairly easy, but you never know what's going to happen. Anything's possible. Few trucks around on the hairpins. They are beeping their horns. Here's a little tip for you: if you're on the hairpins, if you're descending a mountain in this part of the world and you hear the beeping of horns, that means just be careful, because they will be crossing over onto your side of the road. And also, when I see a truck coming, I see it sort of around the bend, I'm very careful, because the other thing you'll get is idiots overtaking them on blind corners. So, you know, if you come hurtling down the hill at top speed, you see a truck and then someone pulls out into you, there's no point in arguing, well, that was an illegal maneuver. Winning the posthumous libel suit, that's not my goal. Longevity is my goal in this game. So yeah, I do gun it downhill, but I'm very careful with blind corners and trucks and general drivers. Just riding past and I saw this. That is corn maize. A whole massive field, well, massive parking lot. Must be where they bring it all from the fields, and it's out in the sun to dry. Over the river. and into Tung. Yeah, Tung seems to be what I call a crossroads town, so it's basically just where a couple of major roads cross. There's like a market and a few shops and that. Nothing very exciting. I was hoping for a bakery. I got 7-Eleven, so iced coffee, coconut and pandan custard filled bread. Bit of junk food, that'll do me. See me through for the next couple of hours. I think there's another town in about 50k and then we'll be quite a way in. Maybe get some lunch there. And we swing on to Highway 1 and this is, from what I can see, this is the only real way to get to Tat from here, which is a shame because it's basically just a big highway. And I realise I have of course ridden it before. When did I ride Highway 1 South before? Well, it was of course 2 years ago when I did my epic Chiang Mai Bangkok ride in one go. 700 kilometers, 25 hours riding time, about 5 hours resting. I did have to have little power naps outside 7-Elevens. And at this point, and I remember it, it was here where the sun set and I was riding for the next 12 hours in the dark. And that was a long night of the soul. When you're riding down the highway, the only real option is 7-Eleven. Now, when I got sleepy on that long ride, what I would do is just lie down on the floor, on my back, shoes as a pillow, cycling cap over my face, and just go into a power nap for like 10-15 minutes. Get up and I'd feel ready to hit the road. No power naps today. Get across 5 lanes. Light's red, that's a good sign. And we're off. And we're off the highway. I don't mind a few hours on the highway like that. It's very fast. I've averaged over 30 kilometers an hour for this ride. But yeah, I don't think I have any desire to take it all the way to Bangkok again. And this river is our old friend, the Ping. It's our river from Chiang Mai. A little bit bigger down here. Now we're headed tomorrow that direction into the hills, but for now I'm going to head back into town and try and find somewhere to stay. And then tomorrow I think we'll probably go over that suspension bridge. Tak seems to be one of those big towns with an undefined centre. However, I have seen that, and that symbol means vegan food. So it's a J restaurant. So I think we'll go in and get a bite to eat and then we'll worry about hotels in a minute. Classic vegan food, so rice berry red rice, and then I chose a couple of items. One sort of is a Thai eggplants, little green eggplants, and some sort of mincy type thing, all vegan, bit of soup, and lots of free iced water. Here's mine. 450 baht again, 311. Gonna be basic, same old, same old. Got to put the key thing in. Yeah, well, it's a bed, it's a shower, it's a room, it's a view onto the parking lot. There's a big supermarket nearby so I can get food and drinks and everything there. Absolutely perfect. So I sleep here for the night, take a rest, and that is the end of day 2.